Looks like it's on. All right. I'm gonna try and put as much stream-related information on my screen as possible so that I don't have to turn my head or tab through windows. All right. Hello, all you crazy people out there. This is screaming about GameMaker 2026. Let's see.
Ah.
Yes, we got to get that out of the way. Does everybody can everybody in chat hear everybody okay? That's the first thing that we got to work out because that is not something I always get right.
Hello, speaking.
Hello.
Volume, mic check. Test.
Beep boop.
Ah.
Gleb is very enthusiastic about GameMaker.
Oh.
Oh, Steven's here. Okay,
probably...
he said he was going to be a few minutes late, but it looks like he's he's
awesome.
ready.
Hello.
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 All right, Steven.
Hello. You guys hear me okay?
I hear you.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Awesome. I'm just actually going to change out a cable I'm using on my thing here because it's sketchy. 1 second here.
That's all good. All right. We are doing good. We are doing great. We are live. We are swell. I have to say, it's being at 1 a.m. is not great, but it is what
For
it
what
is.
it's worth, that's still a more reasonable hour than what you were screaming with us out in past years.
I mean, most of the time I've been okay. The last
had a
year,
couple 4 a.m. events, and
Jeez.
that was a whole thing. Steven, how are you doing? I hear you had an all-nighter.
I'm great. I feel better than I should.
Pulling a tab, are we?
Yeah. I'm good for now. So you have me until I crash. We'll see how long that is.
So
I'm actually good.
How do we want to start this? Do we want to go through the stuff that was announced in order? Is there any particular thing that we want to
well, I mean, I was kind of hinting towards the very first thing on top of the topic list.
Oh, yes. You told me like 5 minutes ago. I forgot already. LTS.
Not that topic list. You know what? We'll go there. Yeah, we'll go LTS.
What, you mean time zones? Because I did write time zones are stupid on top of the planning document. I assumed that was not what you were talking about.
I assumed that was a topic. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there.
All right. I'll just open a feature request to GameMaker. Abolish time zones.
Finally.
So for those who have not seen one of these before, GameMaker, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, did a little update announcement post, and screaming about GameMaker is the, I guess, now yearly event where a bunch of us nerds just get together and run our mouths about it until we get bored. And
yeah, pretty much.
Let me just go through the list real fast. So LTS 2026, the official stable version of the current runtime has been discussed. Official IDE plugins have been discussed. There's GMRT, which is probably the biggest item on the list, which is the successor to the current GameMaker runtime being rewritten from scratch. I wrote down on the list what's going on with Feather/CE2, but I don't think that was actually brought up, so we probably will just skip that, and I'll just be sad about that on my own. 3D improvements, CLI tools, and or the AI assistant, depending on how much you care about either or both of those, and other language support were all mentioned in the update post. And I guess we'll just go in order. So LTS 2026. How much of the previous LTS 22 did any of you use? Have you used it for regular use or
not for a single minute?
I've used it for some client work until the client work got updated to monthly, and whatever libraries are on LTS. That was pretty much it.
That's more or less what I've used it for too. I haven't used it significantly because most of the projects that I was helping out on that were originally using it just moved to monthly because of some feature that they needed access to or something like that.
Yeah, it kind of got to that point with me for like the last 6 months or so, because it was like I got all these libraries, they all work for LTS, but I have all these features from the modern version that I kind of want, so I'm gonna just
Mm.
update.
Especially things like I think right like the update right after LTS came out, there were like the new array functions, which I wanted to use for a lot of things because they make certain types of code much smaller. And as soon as that came out, I was like, well,
I find with the array functions, especially, they're kind of actually beneficial for like reusable code in some places, because like I think when I was updating lexicon to V4, I used like I mostly just kind of did a bunch of loops myself for callbacks, but there was some places where I just went, okay, I'm just do like array map or array for each or whatever, because it's just smaller. Then I can just put that in a function.
yeah, that's what I
Call it a
mean. It
day.
doesn't. They don't really do anything new, but they do make certain tasks just faster to write so that you can get on with your day.
Yeah, simplifies things a little. Less loops. Well, traditional loops, anyway.
Do any of you foresee yourself using LTS 2026? Well, I guess if you're going to be sticking with current runtime, you kind of have to at this point.
Well, I mean, I feel like you kind of have to in general, anyways. Even if you're like using GMRT, because GMRT would be like on LTS 2026 too, wouldn't it? Because it's like a whole new runtime.
I mean, I guess you would have access to it because it's going to be distributed through the package manager, right? But it's
Yeah.
still like 20 LTS 26 is going to be like the definitive edition for a while until
Mm.
who knows. I'm not really expecting GMRT to be production worthy for at least another year, but we'll see what happens.
Is
There
020
it.
gonna be like the biggest update so far to GMRT? They were
Um,
promising like 99% compatibility. Or what was that?
I'm assuming so. It's been what, like 5 months since the last GMRT update.
Mm.
Yeah, more or less accurate. 'Cause it's like close to Christmas.
I just heard Discord cut out, so I didn't hear most
Yeah,
of what you said.
Yeah.
you just went
Thank-
robot mode. I thought that was my internet.
I was saying that like
Well,
they really want to
We cannot understand you.
this is a problem.
Oh,
Uh,
We should just move into the same room and record it in Australia.
yeah, for next year we're going on a road trip. Uh,
Yeah.
try.
Sure.
I can't hear you at all right now. Try rejoining the call.
yeah.
We got what, 5 minutes in?
Yeah.
Okay. One moment. I think I saw Steven's thing light up, and I don't know if he tried to say something too, and if that's
You should
also
be hearing me. Are you?
okay.
Am I
Now
still
I
there?
hear you.
Yeah. I've been quiet.
Hello, am I alive?
Yes.
All right, now
can hear
that
you.
sounds
Okay.
better.
All right, cool. Where was I? Right. Yeah, they released one around Christmas time for GMRT, the last update.
All right, I see Russell in the chat
Oh,
said
hey, Russell.
there will be no monthly after LTS, just LTS. So my question about if people are going to use that was a little bit redundant. So I
Hooray! Go on.
hello, Tabular.
I said hi.
Oh, okay. I had a
Am
moment
I-
to panic because I thought Discord was crapping out again.
Really?
We're good.
Anyway.
Should I just move on? I thought you were going somewhere with that.
Well, I mean, I just said hooray, like as a side comment. Go on, just move on.
All right, so what is the next thing I put down on the list? Oh yes, IDE plugins. I believe this is something else that you have been messing around with. quite a bit.
Actually, no. I've been messing around with prefabs.
Oh, that was the
more
package
so.
manager.
Mm.
Separate.
Yeah.
Related,
Yeah.
but separate.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to mess with IDE plugins, but I kind of don't want to invest the time in messing around with them right now.
Yeah, I know that there's been I
Although-
think this has come up in previous years too, but I know that there have been a couple of people who have like been unofficially messing around with the
I believe that
like
was
the C#
Nick.
assemblies, but I
right?
don't know how much of that is going to change between now and like the next GameMaker update, and I haven't wanted to make a bunch of things that are just going to completely break.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll stay the same. Lime, what were you saying?
Oh, I remember. I was just trying to remember who was posting a bit about the IDE plugin stuff, but that might have been Nick.
I know Nick has. I want to say there is also someone else.
Mm. Yeah,
I
I'm like really
do-
excited for the IDE plugins. Just like if we are able to extend stuff like the sprite editor and tack on features that might be useful for things such as like additional hitboxes or just like data for sprites
Hmm.
before we get that officially. Like being able to hack the IDE in ways like that.
I know that
Would be immensely
custom
useful.
tile data has come up a bunch of times from a bunch of different people.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm also curious,
Yeah.
like how easy it's going to be able to use IDE plugins to make things like custom asset types, because I know that that is also something that
Yeah.
GameMaker has talked about doing.
Yeah, a few people have actually asked about that as well, which I kind of would be curious about because we don't really have an easy way of adding custom assets.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
I don't think I saw this addressed at any point in the forum post or in the official update post. I have a hard time imagining how custom asset types would be done without an IDE plugin. Unless,
Also, like, I guess the other issue too would be like the project format.
yeah.
Like, that's always needed like some kind of update. So I'd be curious to know how they would do like custom assets without changing the format.
Mm.
Well, each asset type has its own .yy file, and I feel like you could probably, if you had a custom IDE, like, asset type window, you could just have it write out whatever you wanted in a YY file, or at least whatever JSON you wanted in a YY file, depending on how much it has to conform to the rest of the project spec. The only line in the actual rest of in the YYP would be like a reference to it on the disk, right?
Actually, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, like I kind of just looked back at it, like they just have a link to a resource, and that just points to whatever's in the folder. So, I guess the YY metadata might be able to just add in a new type. Maybe. Do I have to like start streaming now?
Are you not? I thought you were already streaming on your Twitch.
No. I didn't want to set up stream because then I had to line things up myself, and I couldn't be bothered. I just couldn't be.
Oh well.
Then I feel like it kind of just messes up the chat.
Even
Because it's
having
like two places.
having the chat split between two different sources.
Yeah.
Mm. Makes sense.
I could have them both open, but I would probably have a higher chance of missing something. That's okay. A couple people complained about the mid-roll ads appearing too frequently, and I thought I set it to like not have them, but apparently I didn't. They should be off now, I think.
Well, can only hope. Anyways, I guess with IDE plugins, yeah, no, I kind of do want to dive into them at some point, but I'm kind of reserving it for another time when I'm like not working on my current pet projects. I guess I could call them.
Yeah. if this was like a couple of years ago, I would probably be spending a lot more brain energy on it, but I do have a lot of other demands on my attention right now, and since we don't actually have that much official information on what an ID plugin would look like, I'm trying not to like fixate on it too hard.
Or like spin up on like possible ideas and like assumptions. Like
Yeah.
that's why I'm not really talking about like the prefab stuff, even though I have like a fair understanding of how it works now. I don't want to drive any conclusions there. The only thing I'll say is they're great. I'll say that.
I am somewhat more interested in official, like being able to create user prefabs, because I have a bunch of loose YYMPS files for extensions on my computer that it would be kind of nice if I just had like a centralized repository where they could all live.
Yeah, that is.
Which I'm pretty
at
sure
least
is what most
my.
people have in mind when they think about such things.
I think the other benefit too, because like prefabs do open the possibility of having dependencies with other libraries. So you could make a library that depends on like, I don't know, I guess say Scribble and maybe a UI library, and you just glue them together.
Mm-hmm. That is sort of a problem right now, because if you do have an extension that depends on something else, you can either ship a version with your extension, which could cause some problems if the user already has a different version installed, or you can tell, like you can put in the README or something, you need to also have this other extension, which also is additional layers of complexity that a lot of people would rather not deal with.
Yeah, it's like tedious for the end user.
Alice said self-hosted repositories. Yeah, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I'm interested in finding out. Is that something that you've also messed around with, Tabular?
I kind of have like a brief understanding of like a couple of things, but it's like I don't have access to like the prefab builder or like any of the other information. Everything is just me digging through and like making conclusions. But you can kind of basically make like a registry and then just self-host it.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, I don't think I've seen any official information about how they're going to be hosted, and I'm pretty sure everything you've told me about them has been stuff that you've either asked to do your games, or you've gone into the like the official repositories and just like copied what they did.
Well, I kind of honestly did most of my work based on like just one prefab, and the rest of it was like I already knew like the server infrastructure software, so I just hosted my own.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I've just been experimenting with things. I kind of have mentioned it like in a few ways, but it's like for clarity's sake, I'm working on like a custom registry for the GameMaker kitchen because I think that'd just be nice to have overall. And I'm working on like a bunch of little things here and there. Like he kind of posted it some like the other day on the server, but I had like a little notification system, so every time someone uploads a new prefab, it will like spit out a bunch of information about it. It won't ping anyone, but you can like basically go in and just see what's coming in new
And it'll be
or what's been
automated.
updated. Yeah, which is nice. But yeah, at least for the most what I am aware of, you can basically just host your own registry. I don't know in 100% if there is like any plans for anything beyond that, besides like anything official that EO Games might do, like with the marketplace. Because I think that was like the other main thing that they've said in the past publicly.
I still don't know exactly what to make about marketplace updates, because they vaguely alluded to it on a couple of occasions when they've talked about things like prefabs and plugins, but I don't think there's been anything really concrete. There's definitely not been like a date when we will announce more information, and
But the marketplace is to survive then? Is that a thing?
I mean, they did
it would be
allude
nice,
to
right?
it getting like a major rework.
It's still
at some
there.
point.
The current one
Yeah.
is still
Yeah.
there. I don't think you can upload new stuff to it. You can download stuff from it if you log in.
The last
You
I
also
tried to update
can't
an asset.
buy.
You can't what?
You can't buy like any of the assets
Mm-mm.
there either because they've closed
Oh,
off
they
payment.
closed
Oh,
the
damn.
payment processor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's been like
I
sunsetted for the past 2 years or so.
something like that.
I couldn't find a way to update one of my assets on there. Like it wasn't working, and I had to go log in and do like a back way doing it. It was janky, but it worked, and I don't know if it was supposed to work. Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
nice to see that.
I don't know
update.
anyone who's had a nice experience working with the marketplace infrastructure, unfortunately. I know that they've been talking about replacing it since like 2019 and it's
Hmm.
7 years later now, but
Yeah, already.
and Reaper in
Well,
chat asks, is the prefab thing where you have one project and others inherit it plus the changes? So there is that. There's also if you've looked at the official Yo-Yo Games distributed prefabs, you can also distribute like collections of assets, and when you import them into your project, GameMaker will automatically do the project cleaning, and you could like select a handful of like sprite or sound or whatever assets from the prefab, and like you won't have to build your game and also include all the stuff you're not using. So that's kind of the two halves of it.
yeah,
And,
like it is cool in itself that like you can just add in any reference or like a function or whatever, and it'll just like be a soft reference. So if you
mhm.
ever update the prefab, as long as those assets still exist, you can just change them
Yeah.
like from the prefab end, and it's really great.
So like for code, it's not that big of a deal if you include code in your game that you're not using because it doesn't take up that much space in your project. But if you have larger audio visual assets, not having them automatically included is nice. It's sort of I believe that's what the automatically clean unused assets setting for the compiler was for. Although some people don't like to have that on because it messes with like various types of indirect asset references, but for prefabs it's there out of the box and you shouldn't have to think about it.
I do know like that chat box does at least only affect the main project. With prefabs, it's basically like always on whether you have it checked or not.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's not really much of a big deal because it's like if you're going to use an asset, there's at least two ways you can have that asset get referenced in. One of them, at least, has been more or less definitely talked about, and that's just making that soft reference, adding
Yeah.
it to your project. And the other one, which technically has been public, but it's like not like on the forums or the blog posts, but it's like it's been public on Discord.
You mean the
And that's
include
like,
tag?
yeah, the asset tags, you can like
Yeah,
mark them for use.
I don't think most people know about that still. I assume it's documented somewhere, but nobody ever talks about it.
It is documented, but it's like we don't have prefabs, so it's kind of like not really something anyone will be used to right now.
Usually people just turn off the clean project setting if it's annoying them, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I mean, it's kind of like that, especially with a bunch of older tutorials that people are relying on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Scribble. Could always point out Scribble.
Yeah. I don't love referencing assets by strings, but a lot of people do it, and in Scribble it's kind of unavoidable, so it's just a fact of life that I have to live with.
There was actually some things I've talked to Juju in the past about that, and honestly, it is going to be like a slow progress, but it's like there are plans to kind of like make Scribble work better with refs,
Mm-hmm.
and then build off from there. Because it's like technically Juju could just make it totally work, but then it kind of just throws everything off the rails.
Well, with 9, which is Scribble 9 is the stable version, which pretty much everyone is using. You can't just tell like thousands of people who are using it, okay, it's time to make a breaking change.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
the code that uses the string references for font names and whatnot is already out in the wild. It has to work out in the wild.
yeah, I guess it's like the other thing too, because I know there are plans to also introduce like eventually at some point like a separate WAD system, so you can like just add in different collection of assets at runtime,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really that talked about either. And I don't have any updates on that other than whatever's been said on like publicly on Discord.
I wasn't sure if it was worth adding a section on our Screaming 2026 planning file about that, because I don't think they said anything new about it that we didn't already know. But that
They
has
didn't.
been
No.
part of
Mm.
the plans for GMRT for a while, is to modularize the asset compiler so that you can have different like asset modules that are loaded by the game, whether that's for user generated content or for like expansions to your game or just general organizational purposes. But that's another thing that we really don't know what they have in mind for, and like wild
Well,
speculation probably isn't super helpful at this stage in the game.
yeah, I guess it would be a good time to talk about GMRT now, since we don't
Yeah,
really have
we
much to
spent
cover
like
about
5 minutes on
IDE.
IDE plugins and then like 15 minutes on like prefab stuff. So I guess that tells us what's people are more interested in at this present moment.
Yeah, GMRT.
Mm.
I have to say, I was a little bit surprised when I heard that it supposedly has 99% compatibility functionality in the blog post.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what metric they're going for. I don't know if they mean like the functions that are already in for compatibility with current runtime functions, or if they mean like other systems, like other GameMaker systems that have more than just functions to go with them, like the particle system or the room persistence system or that kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure what they meant by that.
From what I'm
This,
aware, at least, they said it on the forum post itself, but it's like that compatibility ratio is pretty much on like basically most of what the current runtime kind of supports, minus like a few deprecated things like instance change or very specific quirks.
mm-hmm. Because for a couple of GMRT updates now, they've had most of the current runtime functions in, and that like they won't crash your game if you call them. It's mostly been new additions that have not been supported immediately. Like I think like font enable effects was a relatively recent addition that was not part of GMRT for a while, just because it wasn't there when they were like writing out those functions initially. Um, so I don't know if that's what they mean by it, or if they mean like
Well,
actually when you run your game, 99% of it is going to work and it won't crash weirdly or throw an error message that doesn't make sense or that kind of thing.
as
Percent will
Kamex
crash it.
said, like there's also like just the odd bugs and like just like there's no absolute certainty that like you'll just run like the next latest GMRT release and be like, my game just works, no problems. Thank
Mm-hmm.
God I didn't use instance change in this project. It won't be like that. It'd be like, my project mostly works, probably. Maybe it'll fully work. Maybe it won't work at all. It depends
Yeah.
on the bug.
Cormac
If
said in the
it's-
chat that they asked, and Russell said that means 99% of functions, not necessarily that they work. Okay. That makes me sad, but it's probably the easier way to explain it.
What percentage is function is in to be completed later? You know, it's there.
When point 19 came out, I took like probably 10 or 12 projects and like some of the official project templates from GameMaker, and I ran them, and most of them didn't work. Most of them either didn't compile outright or they like broke in weird ways. You're hoping to see
Right
your
now,
title screen for the first time in GMRT. I don't think WizardX compiles currently, so I guess I would say I'm hoping for that too.
Yeah.
what
I
is
am
the... No, go ahead,
I was
Tab.
gonna say I am hoping to have at least one of my projects or at least one of my libraries run without immediately burning straight to the ground.
Yeah.
I am hoping that.
That's my hope too. Like I know a lot of Well, actually, I don't know the percentage of GameMaker users who have like a big long time project in the works right now, but I've been working on VVDary since for like 5.5 years, and I don't think during its continued development it's ever gonna properly run on GMRT. So that's exclusively for new projects, I guess.
Well,
I'm
okay.
curious, and this
Here's
is
a question
completely
though.
unrelated, but like I'm now curious if you polled all GameMaker users and asked them to like add up their line of code count, like what the average would
Hmm.
be for the average GameMaker project.
Hmm.
True.
What right now? What? So give me a refresher here. What is the advantage right now of using GMRT over VM or YYC?
Uh,
I guess like the first thing to kind of make a disclarity here is that like we have the current runtime, then we have the new runtime. The new runtime being GMRT, and the current runtime being GMS2. They kind of have like at this point like their own VM and YYC variants. At the current time, there's 10 in a production standpoint, no real benefit because it's still in beta, still got a lot of bugs, still lots of missing features, but we're not at the 0.20 official release yet, so
Right.
until then. But the main advantages are just like it has some newer functionality like coming in. Like they've integrated a web GPU some time ago now, so you can like actually just write shaders like at runtime like as a string, or like use compute shaders, or use vertex
Oh.
texture shaders. Yeah, like you can use like a lot of like more modern shader features without the current state of the shader system, which is very awkward to work with, as many people have probably experienced.
I mean, honestly, at the
But
moment, I would
Hmm.
say that if you're looking for advantages in GMRT, you should probably just stick with current runtime because it is still extremely beta. But in presumably by the time the 1.0 comes out, everything that Tabular said is true. It's also ideally going to be quite a bit faster than the current runtime because the current runtime in VM is running in a virtual machine, and there is a significant level of overhead to make that happen. And the YYC is transpiled to C++, but it's still not like very clean C++.
Hmm.
Whereas GMRT is going to be compiled to native code through a different mechanism, which hopefully will make it just generally as fast as YYC and possibly faster depending on what your specific use case is.
that's the one thing I do know. I do know they are aiming to try to like right now aim it for as fast as YYC or
Mhm.
slightly faster, not focusing too much on the optimizations on GMRT, because that is something else that has been brought up before.
Mhm. I have been every
Will it
time a new
present?
GMRT update comes out, I've been benchmarking mostly the 3D collision systems that I wrote because that's something that's pretty math heavy and feels like it would be a good stress test for it. And there's pretty wide variation in some of the tests, but I'd say for the most part it's about as fast as YYC in the current runtime.
Nice. That's
Like there are
That's
some
good to
things
hear
that are
already.
randomly very slow. Like I don't know if this is still true, but at one point like allocating arrays was randomly very slow. So if you had to do a lot of that, it would chug. But like mathematical operations tend to be pretty fast
Hmm.
because it doesn't have to go through the whole indirect type system.
I'm surprised that it's at that point already in terms of performance. Like I figured they would mostly only focus on compatibility and then later figure out the details.
Hmm.
Because that's the plan, right? Like we're not getting any new features until you can cleanly port like non-GMRT like old runtime projects to the new one.
Yeah. As of the last time I
More or
asked,
less.
which was I think probably the last time we did a screaming, I asked Russell what the state of the optimizations were, and he said they were still focusing on just making it work. They
Mm.
weren't really focusing on optimizations yet. So hopefully that means
Checks
good
out.
things to come for the future.
Oh.
is there anything I haven't kept on top of it, but is there any mention of like threading or anything with the new GMRT?
I think there
Ooh.
actually was.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like not necessarily like a full-on like proper exposed API or anything, but this is kind of in relation to another topic in regarding the language extensions. But they have talked about doing like async await with JavaScript or having threading exposed in another language. So there are like definitely avenues that you could go down that route if you really wanted it.
So
Okay,
I think
cool.
there's the JavaScript async await, which I think the browser is actually allowed to not implement as threads. It's allowed to execute it on the main thread. But I also want to say
Well,
I saw someone asking if you used another language like C#, if the whole threading like capabilities would be exposed, and I think the answer was yes.
That'd be neat.
I don't know if there were limitations on that I didn't get, but I would cautiously be optimistic about that if you really want to be able to use threads. I also don't
I
think
guess
that.
like
Hmm?
so. Go on.
I
Go on.
also don't. I also would draw the distinction between like the engine having functions to spin up a thread and just not stopping you from doing it in something like C#. I think that is a useful distinction to make, but for people who know what they're doing, that's probably not that much of a roadblock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a pretty like at least as things are right now, I think that's like a fair way to just go about it. And I'd be like okay with that. I guess beyond that, I would be curious to see if they would implement like proper web workers or something similar, because that is like at least in JavaScript, at least in the web browser, that's the only way you can do basically multi-threading.
Was
Because
somebody
otherwise,
trying that
like
with
you have
the GX export in the current version of it?
you mean the current runtime?
Yeah,
That was me.
that was you. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of my experimentations with the at least the GX Games air quote extension support, which it does work if you're using plain JavaScript. There is some handling for GML code, but it's only VM.
Right.
But I have used it to like basically make like a prototype cookie clicker game. So you can just go another tab and it'll still update all the values and everything. And it'll do it all from like the GML side.
So that's not quite asynchronous code. It's
It's not quite
I
asynchronous. I mean, technically, I could just also boot up a web worker. I had the ability to, but I kind of just found out a better way of doing it without a web worker in the end. And it's just like, you know what? This executes without the tab being focused. This works fine for me. With that being said, there is a lot of weird quirks that I've discovered.
as
So
is
it's
often the case in
probably good.
GameMaker.
Let's just say if you ever using it to like to test your performance on how fast your code is, it's not going to be good at all because it just won't show you that performance difference.
Guys,
So
can I go on a tangent here? I noticed from Spasm Fingers saying that I hope we get GM8 sprite editor. I know this wasn't planned, but can I just give a second to that?
you know you all allow it.
You allow it? I
I'll
still
put
miss the GM8 sprite editor.
I'll put $5 on that being like one of the very first IDE plugins that users create once they finally get their hands on that.
Yeah.
And I want it.
You know
I
what?
want
I'm
that.
going to create it so I can get that
Steven
$5.
will be the one to create that plugin.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but I have a very great idea. Actually, not if I say it, you can steal my idea. I can't tell you. I can't tell you now. Actually, not.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tell you anyways because I'm lazy. I was gonna take like the original like early preview GM8 sprite editor that's just circling on the internet and just like have that embedded.
Just
awesome.
like
Embed the whole thing, yeah.
as an embedded window.
Yeah, basically, be like, here you go, that's your sprite editor. Go nuts.
Yeah, while we're at it, we'll take like GameMaker 4 and add that as an IDE plugin that just spawns an embedded window. So you can just
Like the entire old IDE.
yeah, just embed a whole GameMaker 4 project inside your current your GMRT project.
You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna add in Unity into GameMaker. There you go.
Whoa.
Didn't Yellow Afterlife
Okay.
do that with Godot?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, Godot.
I love turn
Uh-huh.
completeness. To just
Me
do
too.
stupid stuff like this.
If Godot. Okay, I'm done with that. Anyways,
I mean, at this point, you might as well go all the way and just embed GameMaker Studio 2 and GameMaker Studio 2.
you know, that
Okay.
wouldn't be a bad idea. I feel like that'd be a lot of can of worms, though. You know what? What if we do GameMaker Studio 2, but like on a separate machine, like maybe a Linux PC, and then we have that embedded over a screen share, send that over the network using NDI tech, and then you embed that into GameMaker on the PC. There you go. You can now edit projects from afar.
I can hear Russell just shaking his head in the corner, regretting everything he's ever done with this engine.
Fine,
Good call
fine.
on
I'll
how
go-
about a better sequencer though, like in chat. We do want that.
Oh.
What was
Well,
that?
we're gonna get to that. Like,
You know, I kind of want to talk more about that and a bunch of other things when we get to the 3D improvements, but I'm happy to talk about that
yeah.
now. Because
The
there are things that
sequences?
kind of
But
have thoughts.
good segue, yeah. Fucking half baked features in GameMaker.
Yeah. Do you want to move over to the 3D improvements?
I mean, I guess if we're done here.
Well, unless there's someone else who wants to talk about GMRT. Anyone? Any thoughts? No? Okay. That's good. No execute string. Get out of here. Moving on.
I
Okay,
mean,
3D improvements. I gotta say, I already knew they were planning on adding like model loading support. I was not expecting more than that
Hmm.
initially. I mean, this is all for like GMRT, so technically this is an extension of the GMRT topic, but I feel like in a lot of sense, it is cool to have more 3D stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think it's cool. I will say though, I do, and going back to sequences, I do hope they also focus a little bit more on existing features as well.
Yeah.
I would love some love on them. Because we have a small, no better way to put it, we have a small track record of a couple of features that got like 90% or 98%, and then it's just like cut off.
Yeah. Just on
Close
to
to
the next thing.
perfection. Yeah. And I mean, in ways I kind of get it, but there's also a lot of things where it's like there could have been more time to spend cooking on it.
Hmm.
I need to be careful about how like polite about this I'm going to be, but like it's I am the 3D guy apparently in the game maker world, and if you put 3D features in front of me, I'm not going to not use them. But
Hmm.
well, everybody here knows what Yo-Yo Games' track record is for finishing things and finishing things on time. Like, we'll just casually observe that it is 2026 and we are still getting updates called 2024. Like we run on different time frames than what Yo-Yo Games says the time frames are always going to be, and this is not a small change that is coming to the engine. This is going to require a lot of manpower that I think is going to be better spent on, you know, finishing things that they have already started.
Hmm.
And
I feel
there's different levels of this. So they talked about things like adding 3D math functions, more matrix functions, vector functions, and that's all fine. You can write those, you can hopefully unit test them, and they'll just work, and then that's the end of that. But things like adding a 3D scene viewer, that is a very
That's
significant
massive, yeah.
engineering expenditure, and I worry that focusing on that will cause other things in the engine to not get attention that they more desperately need.
Yeah, that's kind of a similar thought I have, and I think a lot of other people have similar thoughts on that too, because it's like, again, no hate, no disrespect, but if there is already features we have for the current runtime that haven't been fully implemented, but like they work, but they're just awkward or just have features that are missing for an overall quality of life, it makes it hard to be convincing that the 3D functions will be getting the same amount of love,
Mm-hmm.
like better love, let alone with everything else. Because like on one hand, if the 3D functions come in very well and like get very get a very good reputation, it is great. But then you're kind of leaving out everything else that also hasn't really gotten as much love as it should have.
Yeah.
So
No
it's
matter
like
how
Say-
perfect the 3D stuff's gonna be, it's still like delaying love to all the other features that are just like underbaked right now.
I
Have
am
been underbaked
I,
for years.
I'm not going to speak on so much the sequences because I mean, outside of the actually using a sequence, I've not really looked at the code stuff. Although I know people's issues with the API for the code, but video playback is probably the one thing I mostly hear otherwise that it's just no one's really happy with. It is
You say that they get things to like 90% and then drop them. The video playback feels more like 60% because it works well-ish sometimes, but since it does use the hardware decoder on the user's system, just because it works on my computer doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work on like an
so.
older computer or on a mobile device or on especially on Linux.
I feel like the
It,
problem I find more so is that like at least in my head, as far as I can tell, just from like just observing the pattern's behavior. The problem with the video playback functionality is like it's kind of like the current runtime doesn't support a way of just taking a texture from like a different media source pointer and then just feeding it straight through to GameMaker. So we got this weird amalgamation instead, where essentially you got this texture and you gotta like essentially turn it into like a buffer, so you have to read from the GPU,
mhm.
and then you have to reconstruct it back onto the surface.
Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
believe that's why we frequently see complaints about it being slow. Um, Largely because GameMaker doesn't want to be on the hook for shipping decoders, which might or might not be under patent and incur like licensing royalties, which is reasonable. But I do wish that there was an avenue provided to make it a third-party extension if the user wanted to just do that themselves.
yeah, someone actually recently went ahead and made their own like little like library for like multimedia source using GStreamer.
There were a
They
couple of
just
them back in the day, back when the marketplace was not a ghost town,
And all of
yeah.
them didn't quite work.
and all of them had their own weird hiccups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pointing it to like more recent times because we in the GameMaker Kitchen, for instance, we actually have someone who's like trying to make like a video player or editor basically, and
All
it,
right,
like
yeah.
Mr.
it
Diff.
it is impressive. Yeah, like shout out to him, beautiful.
Yeah, I'm curious how far that'll go before GameMaker just like falls over on itself.
Oh, it was Mr. GIF.
GIFF,
No Man's Land.
not like the
Yeah.
file format.
Yeah.
For that matter, I don't know if he pronounces his name with the hard or the soft G either. But how did we get this far off topic? That's just what we do here.
That is what we do.
3D
This is
improvements.
just yeah, we were on 3D improvements, but you know,
Yeah.
the I guess that the whole point of it is that like like it's cool, we love it, it's excited, but at the same time, please focus on the other runtime ID features as well. Give them some other love.
Mm.
I like especially with the other thing I saw on the blog post, which is not technically a topic, but it's something that I kind of want to bring up. The start page. They're working on updating the start page entirely.
Why?
Uh, from
I've
what I
heard people
recall,
say it's confusing. I never really thought it was
yeah.
confusing. I don't know if maybe if you're a beginner and you're not sure what you're looking at and you're not sure what the engine can do, you might find it confusing. But the start page isn't really something that's made for me anyway, so I don't really have an opinion on that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I
Mm.
guess it's, because we've all used GameMaker for so long, we're kind of just used to what we're getting at. So I think that's like one of the part of the
That's fair.
problems. It's kind of like it's just the beginner problem, really. It's like it's a lot more easier to use something, or like dev in general. Like when you use the same thing over and over again, eventually you're just used to it, and it just doesn't really matter. But to a new person, it could be a total different experience.
I think,
And that could be yeah.
yeah. I think
Mm.
they're trying to get more friendly onboarding onto the start page. So now it does have
Yeah.
the little project creator wizard, which helps you if you like want to use a template instead of creating an empty project from scratch or that kind of thing. And I know that GameMaker is used a fair amount in things like schools. So I think what they're trying to do with the start page is they're trying to make it more like not just approachable to someone who doesn't use GameMaker, but approachable to someone who doesn't do computer things, and this might be their first contact with technical stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. The other thing which I kind of have mostly noticed as well from like the start page, but they seem to be trying to like convey more information about like GameMaker and its activities, like because like on the start page prototype that they have like an upcoming field, and it has like new updates, it has beta releases, it has GameMaker meetup, and the GameMaker awards.
Mm-hmm.
Also, game releases too. So they are definitely trying to push some
They're
more
using the news ticker
advertising.
thing at the top and on the sidebar.
Mm.
Yeah. Which I don't really mind that, to be honest. It's good.
Cormac said,
Like
as
to
someone who
comment
is a
on.
beginner when the current start page already existed, I never found it confusing. That is a good sign, I think.
Mm.
I guess I could just like ask them directly what the plan is for that. Write that down for next time when we're screaming with Russell.
Could be good. Oh, when is that, by the way? When
I
are you hopping in with Russell?
in
14th,
like a
I
couple
think.
of days from this.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
believe Thursday was the date that I put down.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday. Also like 2 hours earlier because reasons. I
Yeah,
actually don't
our
think we
schedule
have
kind of
reasons for
bent around Russell's for that one because he has to, make the engine.
Yeah.
that. Well, Russell and you, especially me, I it doesn't matter. I'm cursed to be up at like 1 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever. So my
Hey,
my sleep doesn't matter.
If I had to
Yeah,
get up at
you're not
5 in the
important.
morning for this, I would have done it.
It's okay. One day I'll have you up at midnight instead. The tables will be turned.
Usually up at midnight because I don't
Just
have
you
a sleep
wait.
schedule.
Not fine. You're gonna be up at 5 a.m. instead. Last one. That's it.
Anyway, we somehow got even farther off topic on this one. Was there anything else on 3D stuff that we didn't cover?
I don't think there really has been.
Like
I guess.
I have mild interest in like they talk about 3D animation because Patrick is the one who's working on that, and Patrick is, as far as I know, probably the one who spent the most time with 3D animation and GameMaker in general. And I'm curious if he's going to cook up something that looks like the BB mod FBX importer, or if it's going to be something built from the ground up.
Mm.
Yeah, that is interesting equally. I think I have kind of seen like various snippets publicly here and there on that. But I feel like at least a part of this kind of is like essentially like be able to take what you have from the current runtime or just whatever extension hacks and just be able to just put it into GameMaker directly, which I think is probably the biggest like benefit, really. I mean, we kind of all think about that here and there. I think you and I have been talking about like the past few weeks here and there about like getting vectors in natively.
Yeah, I've done a few tests with like DLL extensions to see if you can make a vector type that's faster than like using a GameMaker array of 2 or 3 or 4 elements, and it doesn't usually really work that well. because then you have to delete the pointer and whatever when you're done, and it's a huge pain.
Yeah, I don't even know how you could like make that better on the extension side without like some
Oh,
weird
Patrick is
complex
here.
stuff.
Okay, I guess I can just ask. Yeah. What exactly? Because GameMaker has talked at various points about like importing OBJs or importing GLTF, which I assume comes with the animation. Can you say at the moment like what exactly the plans are for that, or is that still under wraps? Sorry, I just interrupted. I just saw Patrick talking in the chat.
You know what? That's perfectly fine. To be honest, I kind of lost track what I was saying here. Oh, yeah, no, right, vectors, yeah, right. Yeah, because you're doing stuff with like the extension side, and then you're poking around the source code to see if you can get it like properly in. I don't think he ever got much further with that though.
I probably could have done something interesting if I'd used the YY runner interface to like interface a little bit more directly with the GameMaker data types for a vector type, but like I didn't really feel like putting in that much effort when GMRT is right around the corner anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't blame you. That's kind of how I feel about like a couple of things. It's like I could implement this. GMRT is also here, and it's probably going to do a better job than I could. So I'll just wait that out.
Yeah, he says he doesn't know what he can say. Okay, I won't try and like squeeze information out of Yo-Yo Games right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't want to like get you in trouble or anything, but
look,
in the
it's fine.
In the coming, I don't know, year or so, I'll be interested in seeing what happens.
Do we still have Russell in chat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. It's okay. We can ask Russell, maybe. I don't think he would actually answer, but that's fine. Either way. Let's probably just leave it there because I don't think we can talk much else about the 3D improvements.
I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to make everyone at Yo-Yo Games mad at me.
Look,
like I said, I'm going to use them if you put them in front of me, but I don't want this to come at the expense of getting other stuff in the engine done. It doesn't hurt when you say that only in 0.20 is more like low GLTF. Is that just vertex data, or does that come with everything else, or is that one of those things that you might not want to say right now?
The only thing I feel like though, just from the blog post that it does say simple animations from GLTF, so I feel like it's probably not like a huge coverage initially, especially since GLTF is apparently getting updated to newer features still itself. We got like that Gaussian splat, I think it was.
Is that part of the GLTF file format now?
It's an extension.
Oh,
I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not like official, but it's also something that's supported if you want it. Well, I mean, it is official, but it's, you know what I mean. It's an extension.
That's wild.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see light time.
I think. Pardon?
I just asked if it's CLI time now.
Oh yes, yes. I was gonna say. I guess we'll move on to that. Yeah. CLI. I am gonna say, because I know a lot of people have read the GameMaker blog post, and then some people have read also the Opera blog post, and some people just only read the Opera blog post, and also like all of the clickbait articles and social media statuses, and ran like straight to the first thought they had.
Claude, can you make Undertale for me?
Of course.
Deleting a project.
Yeah.
No, okay, but I feel like to just dispel the air in the room, the CLI tools does have a mechanism for like supporting like an AI model. No, it's not a whole AI system built to AIify your projects. It's not like that.
Yeah,
it's just
it
like
happens to be an interface that can be used by AI systems, but it's also just an interface for like modifying your project file.
It's basically just an API. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that because, like,
It's
I've actually used the CLI tools themselves. Sorry, you wanted to say something, Draco?
it's a way of interacting with your project. It allows you to automate interactions with your project because it gives you access to things like um I had the full list of commands open in another tab, but I think I closed it at some point. Um, like building your project or adding assets or that kind of thing, and you can plug that into an
Mhm.
AI assistant and have it do those things for you, or you can just use it for other things that you might want to automate with your project.
Yeah. Like
It's
I'm
I was gonna say, yeah, it's basically like that, but it's like there's like 4 modes of execution. So you have like GML, like because like there's basically a thing called a resource tool, and that allows you to just basically like modify the project in some way, and you can either write in a command, like one single command for that resource tool, and it'll just run that command, assuming if it's valid, and then it's like an execute and repeat sort of thing. So you can like execute your command and immediately execute another command in action. Then you have like a script variant, and then you have the API for AIs, which is MCP, which it's basically just a bunch of JSON essentially. You just sending back and forward, and it's like that's
mm,
not really any more different to like half of like the APIs that exist in the world. So it's like the only thing that's just good about it is just that it's just built around the idea for an AI agent. But it
mhm.
doesn't mean you have to use it with an AI agent. In fact, it doesn't even come with an AI agent. It gives
yeah.
you like a Claude file, and that's like it. That's all you pretty much are probably getting. If you want Claude or ChatGPT or whatever other AI shenanigans you want to add in, you have to bring in your own.
Yeah,
That's the baseline.
Mm,
the part of the Opera blog post that most people paid attention to and set the world on fire, I guess you could say, is the part where it said GameMaker was like the first AI integrated game engine or whatever, and it's not. It it provides the scaffolding for you to do it yourself if you want to,
Yeah.
but it's not
yeah.
shipping an AI with it. It's not like automatically installing it in existing projects. It's not doing the things that people were largely claiming that it was going to.
Yeah.
And it's not like you couldn't already do this with like AI tools anyways. I know there's at least been a few people who have essentially made their own like
Yeah.
infrastructure support for it. It's just the whole point of the GMCLI tool is that if you want to modify something in the project without having to manually do surgery with the YY files or YYP even, it gives you the tools to do that.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Right.
especially with now the project format is like pretty strict. You can't just like even have keys in the wrong order without it like complaining. So it actually adds a lot of benefits. But I think the other thing too, which I think is also exciting, if we ignore the whole resource tool stuff, is the compiling and be able to just run a project from like basically from the terminal directly, which there's 2 perspectives. The
At
first
first, I
one, which
actually
is
thought that was the main like point of GameMaker CLI, and then I saw them talking about the AI integration thing, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what they had in mind, because they have talked about like command line building and making command line building easier in the past.
well, that is basically like the entire tutorial that they made with GMCLI. It's like how to use it GitHub Actions. Because
Hmm.
like when you make a new project with it, it now gives you like a bunch of default GitHub Actions that you can optionally use,
So when
which is
you
actually
real quick, when you have one of your projects and like input or whatever, and you're testing it on like Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS all at the same time, do you use GitHub Actions for that, or do you have your own script to run it to automate
so.
that?
Okay, I should probably add some clarity to that before we go on to that. So I'm just using the Igor CLI directly.
Okay,
So
so
this is all before
you don't use
GML
GitHub
CLI.
Actions for that. You just have some script that runs the ASCII compiler.
Yeah, it basically I just have like I just run it on Windows because it's Windows only. I
Hmm.
would run the project and it'll start like doing its thing, and then like halfway through be like, okay, we're going to like halt building this window target, and then we're gonna go by whatever this build script is doing. And then I just have it so it just spins up like Igor for every single like platform that I decide to have on, including Windows itself. And I have to kind of do it in this really, really weird, janky way because it's like with all things in building scripts, as soon as you start executing something, if you exit out of it normally, GameMaker will still continue to build your project. So you have to kind of like basically
Because it
tell
spawns a new process and the process just keeps going even if you kill the originator.
it's not like that. It's more like like with Batch at least. Like you can run code, and same with Bash, you can just run like whatever code you have in there. But it's like as soon as the program ends, if the program exits without a problem, then GameMaker will just resume building. And in most cases, this is actually fine. But in the case of my little helper extension, when it came to like input testing or literally any library that I need to like run the same test on multiple platforms at once, it's one of those cases where I have to basically run all the Igor sets, and I have to tell the build script to basically just stop running, like the build process at the end, the main one.
Hmm.
But I guess in a sense, with that, with GMCI, I could probably hook that in theory, but a part of me doesn't know how much more beneficial that would be, other than I can make a multi-cross platform.
This is one of those
Because,
things that I feel like if it already works, I don't know if you would want to rewrite it in a different way. In your
I
case
mean, I probably
specifically,
will for a GMRT. It's probably a case where I would want to, but the main issue is it's like which is kind of why I'm waiting for like IDE plugins as well, which we kind of skipped over that topic, but I'm gonna bring that back briefly because I actually do want to be able to like hook up like directly to the devices, because the way I do it right now is that I just have a list of names that I have to type in, and then assuming all my connections work and I
you
haven't
mean like
screwed
devices
them
that
up
you would
or
SSH into?
well, basically the device names on the GameMaker thing, but yeah, essentially. Um, like I have no way of like getting the device lists in the extension editor. So my plan is when the IDE plugins come around, and we actually have like proper documentation for it, I plan on just putting that into an extension and calling it a day.
I see.
But I did want to go back to talking about GMCLI because GitHub Actions was one of the main things, and they have made a tutorial officially for it, which anyone can just check out right now on the official GameMaker YouTube channel. But the other thing, which was mentioned in chat as well, and this is what the other thought of it is that custom IDs. It makes it feasible to build your own IDE now with the GMCLI, especially because if you actually build and run a project from the CLI, normally in other cases, if you try to do it from like the command line, it doesn't exactly give you like an output on Windows. I have found it does with GMCLI. It actually reads the output.
So this would be like the old like GMEdit plus builder system, except it's less of a hack and more of a proper integration.
Yeah. To answer your question, Patrick, I have tried it. Sidorak has also tried it. We've both mostly used it to just build a project with the tool and then compile and run the game. In my case, I just made it play a sound. Boop. I was actually playing one of Factorio Space Age soundtracks. Yeah.
I haven't done anything with GMCLI yet, but I'll probably play around with it the next time I do a build for WizardX and I need it to work on like Windows and Linux, and I don't want to have to do both of them myself, and I'll see if I can automate them with that.
You mean you don't want my extension? Because I can just give that to you.
Well, it seems like a good excuse to learn how GMCLI works.
Fair enough. Well, if you want any pointers, feel free to ask me.
I probably will, better than just fussing around with the documentation all day.
Well, I mean, you'll be accessing like the help thing a lot. And to be honest, even at one point I got confused with it. I had to actually ask Sid like some help on debugging it because it had no idea how to use it like entirely. And then I realized I just made a mistake. Hooray for mistakes!
What one programmer can solve in 1 hour, 2 programmers can solve in 2 hours.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I will say though for GMRT, there is a couple of benefits I have thought about, like outside the whole prefab system. Although I guess that can be involved, is because you can use it to update a bunch of resources at once. And I had thought about like, imagine having like just like a sound guy, and they do a bunch of like sound updates at once, but they haven't added to the project yet. They could just run the CLI tool and it'll just automatically update all the paths.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I have to even open up
Alice just
GameMaker.
mentioned that in the chat. I don't know if
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you were responding to that or if you were just going there anyway. But
I was just going over that. I didn't even see that.
yeah,
Oh. I would also
there have
love.
definitely been times where I've had like dozens and dozens of sprites that all needed importing, and I had to do them all one by one and check the
Yeah.
boxes. Although the inspector makes that easier because you can bulk select stuff, but it still takes time, and being able to automate that would be convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
was gonna say I would love to automate like glyph fetching from font assets, because currently you still have to do that manually, and deleting glyph ranges from font assets is like really annoying right now.
Interesting.
For very long ranges, you have to go into the YY files and just like.
So you mean if you try to add like an extended Asian character set or something like that, you can't just do that through the IDE. You have to type in the range yourself.
You can add ranges easily through the IDE. Like you just type in every unique glyph, and it fetches the correct ones. But you can't remove them in bulk. You have to click on them one by one to like delete the ranges if you ever change.
Oh, you
Change like
mean if
localization files.
if there's a characters in the character range that you're not using and you don't want them taking up space.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I got
And
it.
currently, if you want to remove those glyphs in bulk, you have to go into the YY files and just like carefully do some surgery on the JSON files.
Yeah, I'm actually having a quick look at that right now to see if how
That feels like
feasible is
something
that.
that like the IDE should just be able to do.
I mean, yes, that as well, but
But you mean until they get around to fixing that?
yeah. So I built, I mean, like related to CLI tools, again, like I built several little Python tools to just do automation for me in the VDRE. For example, one of them really sloppily goes through all item sprites and crops them to have exactly 1 pixel of outline everywhere. Because I need that for my outline shader to work properly.
Oh yeah.
And that like goes through the item, the sprites, and looks for the layers, and it like breaks half the time. But stuff like that
Yeah.
sounds like CLI could make less nightmarish.
Yeah. I feel like it's a thing that a lot of people could be like, why is this a big deal? But once you have access to it and you know what, you find ways to just save time.
It's not
at the end
really
of
a
the day.
big deal if you're just doing a small project, but if you are doing a whole
No.
production,
Yeah.
like when I want to make a build of WizardX for like Windows Steam, Windows not Steam, Linux not Steam, and then like the Raspberry Pi, like that is like an hour or 2 hours of my time to do it manually. But if there was a like GMCLI build script that just did it, then that would save me maybe not all that time because I'd still have to like test it and make sure that it doesn't explode somewhere, but a significant amount of it.
I've recently, even with my day job, found out how automating stuff saves time. A task that was taking like 3 hours is now down to like 15 minutes. And it's like,
Yeah,
that's nice. And just when you have that mindset of, hey, I can automate this, you can just save so much time.
Yeah.
So,
There's
yeah.
there's an XKCD somewhere that's like a graph of the amount of time you save by automating a task that you do a certain number of times per day.
Yeah.
of course, there's a comic about that, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say with like automation, at least for some of my projects, I automatically like build like with GitHub Actions, just like the project for like multiple platforms, and I just upload it to Steam. straight away through GitHub Actions because I'm
yeah.
a lazy person and I don't want to
Mm.
like deal with the Steam CMD every time. I'd
Mhm.
rather just I'd rather just GitHub do it for me. So that's what I do. It works really nice. I recommend it.
Mm.
Also, it doesn't look like there is a way to modify fonts with the resource tool right now.
Damn, it's unfortunate. But oh well, I have
Yeah.
my scrunkly little Python scripts that just like change the files like in C2.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's okay. I'm sure I'll like poke around the GMCLI repo, which is out by the way.
I was gonna
Oh, is
ask,
it
do
is it
they
open
ever get
source?
to releasing that? Because
Yeah.
they
The main issue was just legal was still like clearing it.
yeah, I remembered Russell saying that he thought it
Oh.
was out, but it wasn't, so he had to go and check who was responsible for that. But I don't know. I didn't hear that they ever did.
GMCLI on GitHub. Looks like
Yeah,
it's
I
out.
just yeah, I linked it just now. I've also linked
Awesome.
the little voice chat. Yeah, so I feel like if there's any features in there, we're probably suggesting in there, like the fonts, because
Hell yeah.
yeah, we
I would
need them
also
font gifts.
I would suspect that adding a way to interface with your project via GMCLI probably will be less time consuming for Yo-Yo Games than adding a way to do it through the IDE.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of sad.
I would hope that that's the case, but
No,
this is GameMaker we're talking about, so
no.
Is
I
the
guess
CLI
it is
gonna?
something.
Maybe it's a side thing, but is CLI gonna give access to like GameMaker settings directly too? Is that
I
like
don't see it directly within like the commands for it, but probably.
I'll probably ask for it.
like
make
IDE
a
preferences or
mention.
like project settings
yeah, like all of it,
or both?
both?
Well, I
like,
assume just like game options and texture groups and audio groups and all that.
yeah, because I'm just thinking of like, because there's settings that you're toggling that need to, you just create your own commands, just like, yeah, do different. I could just see that being useful.
I think there's probably like one case where I could feel like GMCLI could benefit truly well for Drago here, and that is clearing all the configs because oh my
God,
goodness,
yes.
there is not a setting for that still.
I swear
Okay,
to
yeah.
God, probably every couple of weeks I have a whole episode where like I thought I changed this config setting, but it's not doing it. Oh, it turns out because there's an override somewhere, and GameMaker doesn't tell you about that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And, I'm gonna ask again, how much space have we had because of old runtimes and stuff in the past, left and not deleted?
I don't know if it says bad now because now you get to pick and choose which targets you install, and it doesn't install all of them every update. But I've been up
Back
to
in the
like
day.
50 gigabytes of them before I got off my lazy butt to go and clean them out.
Yeah, I seem to recall having my own. It's like yeah, that's a lot of space.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely much better now.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like me and you install almost every single beta.
Yeah.
I kind of sometimes clear out the older runtimes that I don't really need or care about, mainly the betas, because it's like I kind of want the latest, especially on like Linux.
There was one time where I had to go and reinstall, or maybe one or two times where I had to go and reinstall a bunch of old runtimes because I wanted to track down where a bug first appeared, and that was like, oh my god, there's so many runtime files that are almost exactly the same on my computer right now, eating away at my SSD.
You know what? Your SSD doesn't need that storage space and health, anyways.
Yeah, you just gotta rewrite the flash memory cells once in a while just to see if they're paying attention.
Yeah, it's just gonna give them a little bit of new juice. Wake them up.
Like break checking your drives.
Yeah.
Is that all we had on
Anyway.
CLI?
I
Yeah,
think
pretty
so.
much like that.
Hmm.
That was it. Unless there's something you want to ask questions about.
I don't really have a lot to say about it because I haven't messed around with it too much, so I'm just counting on you guys to have some more expertise in that area.
So
What I got
me.
out of that
Okay,
is
gotcha. Thank you.
GameMaker is the first game engine to have AI assistant in it. Is that what you're saying? Is that what I should take out of this?
You know what? Let's go with that. That's
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. No, but in all seriousness, you can build like an entire project using just the GMCLI for the most part,
That's
and
pretty
just
cool.
have it running. So it's like it's got its functionality. It's definitely missing things, again, fonts, but it's a start.
why do I feel like
Yeah, it's a start.
Yellow Afterlife is gonna do that just to show everybody that he can?
No, we all know it's going to happen. Somehow it's going to be used with Godot. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Somehow, magically.
Godot Maker runtime.
Brilliant. Ship it. All right. I guess we have nothing better to cover on that. How about we switch over to our next topic, language support.
GameMaker TypeScript.
This is actually the part that's most interesting to me.
Hmm.
At least at the moment. Maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow morning when I think of something else, but at the moment this is the
hold on
part
1
that's the
second.
most interesting to me.
Oh.
I think it's interesting too.
I find it wild that we're getting so many different languages supported in GameMaker. Like, is that normal?
Well, so does everyone here know how they're planning to do it? Like what the deal is with LLVM and the new compiler and that and all that?
Not at all.
So to compile your actual GameMaker code, they are using this tool called LLVM, which is sort of this like language agnostic compiler that will you can write a definition for a given programming language given the rules of the syntax, and it will just compile it to machine code. And it's been around for a while, but it seems to be picking up steam among like people who are language compiler engineers. And so the GameMaker language as it exists right now is going to get a definition so that you can just take. I don't know if it'll be the current version of GameMaker or if it'll only be like the upcoming GML3 as Russell has been calling it. But it will be able to just compile that to native code, sort of skipping the current YYC step where it turns it into really like crunchy C++. Hence why the GMRT also comes with performance benefits. And in theory, there's nothing stopping them from adding language definitions for as many programming languages as they want. They'll give interfaces to access things like GameMaker sprites or assets or objects or rooms or that kind of thing. And then in theory, you could just have a JavaScript function that will like instance create, or a C# function that will access instance create, or whatever other language you want. And
I want to say on that note, to answer the one chatter's question about native brain F when, you can just probably do it yourself in the future.
Yay. Oh, that was me.
Go on.
that was line typing in chat and not
Yeah,
shouting it out on the broadcast.
I know. I just wanted to bring it up. It's a running joke, like in the GameMaker community at this point. Everyone kind of wants to do this, like just native brain F.
You guys haven't been swearing that much on this stream. Usually there's a lot more swearing than this.
Fine, you want my in Australian? Fine, brain fuck. All right, we're
There we
getting
go.
a brain fuck. We're gonna put the brain fuck in the brain. There.
Okay, Australia, settle down.
No, fuck you.
Oh,
Now we're
Alright,
cooking
I'll
with
settle down.
portals.
Uh,
Anyway, so JavaScript and TypeScript are the first class languages as they've been called. They should be able to be written in place of GameMaker code anywhere. C# I think is still not up to that status. You can't write C# in your whole project. You will need to like create a C# script and call that from GML or JavaScript, correct?
Yeah. I mean, like,
It
I
sounds
know
like
they've
the
definitely
restrictions on it now that they've said are more relaxed than the restrictions that they thought were going to be on like C# originally because of the whole .NET runtime. It sounds like they sorted some of that out, but it's
I
still
mean,
not
the
a
way I
first-class
kind of
language.
know about it is like pretty much it was said, especially like in public from Russell. So I am taking a direct quote from here, but yeah, like the entire C# aspect, because originally I thought it would just be like an actual proper like custom language, and then it would just be natively compiled. But no, it's a full on C# runtime, just slapped in.
Hmm.
And I kind of understand why it's a little bit more work to reinvent the whole wheel when it's just right there, basically.
Especially when
Especially
you.
since they're
Hmm?
yeah, I'll let you finish.
I was gonna
You
say,
finish.
especially when you do things like calling like system C# libraries or calling, you don't want to have to re-implement all of those. You want to be able to reference them from .NET.
Mm.
And you can already do that like in C++, so it's like just call C# code from C++. So it's like why bother?
I do wonder, you can like, if you had C++ in like as a GameMaker language that was available, could you just call your own, like could you on the side outside of GameMaker just call code written in one of those other languages like that, either with an interpreter or with some other compiler? I guess you probably could. I can't think of a reason why like you wouldn't be able to.
I guess that's the one thing I am a
Like,
little bit interested in too, yeah, because like I feel like there is, because like I know it's not really talked about, but I feel like there would be like just a native C++ like script asset that you can just like use, like kind of like with C#. You can have C#, you can have C++, probably.
I guess
But
this is kind of
I guess
related to the one of the other things on the list, is that they have talked in the past. I don't know if they talked about it this time, but about like embedding shared libraries or statically linked libraries.
yeah, like they've mentioned a lot where like instead of you writing like a DLL separately from GameMaker, it would just embed it within your game directly, so you don't have to do any extra work. Which has a lot of its own benefits, mainly that you have a bit more like I guess like less dependencies you have to like update separately, and more of a,
Yeah.
like everything can just work with GameMaker directly. Like
It's
I
more
think with
more cohesive.
going to like the YY runner interface from earlier in the podcast, it is like really great for like passing around data structures like structs and other things, because the current extension interfaces are you got numbers, you got strings, you got pointers, and that's like pretty much the main three options you get
And even
out of the
then, pointers
box.
are kind of a hack just on top of strings.
Yeah, and
The
it's
whole the
like
whole
with
interface is kind of something out of like 2004.
and then like the YY interface is like it's literally just duct tape glued with popsicle sticks. That's all
But
it
you can do a
is.
lot with duct tape and popsicles. You can do a lot with that.
That is true. Just look at the Halo 2 engine. I think it was a Halo 2 engine. I don't know. So someone did like a whole modding thing. They talked about how much of a popsicle and glue sticks it was. But
Okay, behind the scenes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You looked at the
But
GameMaker source. You know how much popsicle sticks are in the GameMaker source code.
I know. I was rambling about like method get index. Like there is a lot of things the GameMaker's doing that people underestimate in terms of like how much compatibility support there has to be for a lot of the weird things that people are doing.
For as
It
much
is
as we complain about like GameMaker randomly breaking in betas, it is actually kind of impressive how much old code does just still work.
Yeah. I agree.
well, I mean that's the one thing that makes GameMaker great. They're pretty committed to keeping as much compatibility as possible, and that's impressive.
I
Most
actually think they've
people
gone like too far, in my opinion. I'm thinking, wow, you guys are really okay.
Yeah, I'm
But
hoping that GMRT is going to be somewhat of a clean break, but like the example that I keep going back to is like the ancient like room X view, room Y view, view angle, whatever. Those variables from like ancient game makers still work to this day, and like
Yeah.
I can't believe that it does, because it's such an ancient, antiquated way of doing everything related to view cameras, but they're dedicated to that compatibility for whatever reason.
I mean, to be fair, it's like because like everyone knows like GameMaker GML v2 at this point, and it's like if they were to like just completely start over and go straight for GML v3, which they could have had. First of all, GMRT wouldn't just be like, oh, well, we could just take our project and put it in there anymore. It'd just be like, oh, this is only for new projects. And then people probably start to question, so why aren't we using Godot or
Well,
Unity?
that, or we'll end up in a situation where going from GMS1 to GMS2, a lot of people just stayed on GMS1 because it was basically the same thing, and
Well,
they were already familiar with it.
I feel like I feel like
And
the difference there is a little bit different because like it was just some obsolete stuff, and then they had compatibility systems in, but the compatibility functions were between decent to okay to what the fuck is this?
I'm gonna say most of the compatibility scripts, and I haven't like done a total head count of all of them, but most of the compatibility scripts that I've seen for GMS1 projects were like just a couple lines of code, like they're renaming a function or they're replacing the hash symbols in a string with a \n escape character, that kind of thing. There's only a couple that are like really weird, like the D3D shape functions.
It's not just those; it's the tiles and the views, and also depth.
I guess depth had a weird scaffolding system where it created an index of the depth of all the objects because that doesn't exist in modern GameMaker.
Yeah.
But even cameras, like it'll just create a wrapper around the camera system that will give you functions that look like the old view functions.
Yeah, but
They're
like
not
I guess
they're a
like
little bit more involved, but they're not like completely off the wall.
going back to like the tile stuff, I guess they're like really awkward because they actually had to introduce like a compatibility backwards asset element type just for the old tiles, which is not exactly the greatest thing you want to have to experience. But fortunately, most people don't have to if they're starting in modern GameMaker.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
actually mostly
everyone
like
who's
the tile
still.
system in modern GameMaker. I just wish it had you had the ability to give them like per tile properties, so you could tag them with like water or terrain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. When we have IDE plugins, I'm sure I probably would do something about that because I kind of would like that, right, myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
Like, it'd be
surprised if that's
nice.
one of the first RDE plugins that I try to write. I have my own system for it and it works. I don't really love having to define stuff outside of GameMaker and then remember to import it into GameMaker, but it gets the job done.
I have my own like library made from around LTS which is mostly focused on adding like some quality of life functionality to layers, and I added tile metadata as one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done stuff like myself, and of course, Line as well has their own little tile metadata library.
Yeah, the very small one.
Yeah, very good. I mean, as it's always said with like libraries, it's like I think it's always good to have a variety of them because it's like there are libraries where you probably do want a lot, and then there's ones where it's like there's this
I just need
entire
one
layer.
function. Yeah.
I just need like one or two functions. I don't need a slice. Get out of here, slice. I don't want this whole localization system. I just want to read JSON files.
I
That's it.
basically just copied RPG Maker's terrain tags for tiles, and that's as far as I went.
Oh hell yeah.
So when are you gonna make RPG Maker and Game Maker?
I did some really early on experiments with that when GMS2 came out. It was probably not a
Yeah.
great use of my time, but it was fun for like a couple of weeks. I tried
And
like
then it wasn't?
re-implementing all the like character class databases and item databases and the event system and all that. It was I like RPG Maker. Should use it more often.
Completely fair. Anyway, so gonna go back to the language support because we've been derailing. We've been dealing a lot tonight. It's unusual.
It's unusual.
Uh
Is it now?
yes. Well,
Didn't
more unusual than we normally do.
didn't the one that we did with Juju go on for like 4 hours because it kept going off track, and then I had to make an entire like after dark cut that was like a half-hour long.
Yeah. The last time you told me it was because of all the swearing, which is why I'm adding swearing now.
All right, yeah. Next time we do this, I'll be sure to add a bespoke swearing section to the planning file.
All right, thank you.
Anyway,
When can I
language
import
support.
my Click Team project into the GM? Hopefully never, because no Click Team. But I do want to say, I guess not really language support, but it is something I'm gonna off topic one more time. GML Visual, that also needs love.
Oh yeah, there's
We need
that
we
exists.
I have like
That
2
exists.
feature requests that are still sitting at the bottom of the barrel that would at least make GML Visual a little bit more easy to work with
Mm,
for the community. Because like we still get people in like in the GameMaker help channels who ask about GML Visual, and it's like most people are like, we can't answer this because we don't use GML Visual. We don't have a way to even work with it.
I
Like we
want
have
to
all
like
the
GML visual. Like I feel bad when I tell people it's kind of a pain in the ass, but like it is. I wish it was better.
I mean, I'm not gonna go on about the UX stuff so much because I mean I feel like that's gonna be its own separate can of worms to deal with. The way I think about most of the things is like you can't copy and paste Gmail visual blocks to like between text channels. There's like no way, so you
Mhm.
can't just share a bunch of blocks, and there's no way to like make your own functions for Gmail visual because Gmail visual right now it's like you have a very limited action library. You can't make custom actions, so you can just drag and drop with your own properties as easily. And the closest way you have around that is having GML code, which at that point you may as well just use GML code.
I feel like I
Uh,
don't really expect GML Visual to be like a fully featured language in its own right, the same way that like Unreal Blueprints are. But I feel like if you could at least do one of the GameMaker tutorial projects using it, then that would sort of be like the benchmark to say, okay, Visual is acceptably useful, that you could at least learn something from it.
I mean, I always view Gmail Visual as like a way of learning that's alternative. I mean, again, UX issues aside, because like when I got into GameMaker, I could not do code. It was like I guess the weirdest way to me to sound it. It sounded like it was like as if like I had a phobia of code. But Gmail Visual was like pleasing. I was able to use it, or at least the drag and drop system from back then.
Russell has clarified in the
As
chat, you can define your own functions with Visual, you can't make your own code blocks.
I just wrote in the chat, but
I,
I've been waiting for so long to
I mean
make blocks.
that's the kind of the point. I want to make my own code blocks. There's no mechanism other than me just literally hacking in the IDE
Yeah,
in manually, and that's like not really feasible when the IDE updates and erases all my changes.
yeah,
Like I basically need like the D&D maker back in GameMaker.
yeah,
We
yeah.
need that back. We
I've
get
been
that.
waiting. I've
I
been
was gonna
waiting to
say like
convert one of my extensions to that for like a decade, but it's
yeah,
like, yeah, they can wait.
like the imagine the possibilities. You want to use Scribble with GML Visual, have it as a block directly. No workarounds.
I
I'm
don't
not
know
saying
if
it's
you
gonna
would
be a
want to
great
use
experience.
Scribble as part of Visual, but I could certainly see using Scribble Junior as part of GML Visual.
Yeah, like I'm not
Mm,
saying like it's something that I think it would be the greatest experience, but it's like the point is I want the possibility to do it. I need it.
is it a plugin? I want to see that plugin. So, because like I've wanted,
Maybe
so
that's
for one
another
of the tools,
IDE plugin that'll get made as soon as those get released for general use. I could,
Scribble.
um, visual block makers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I could
yeah.
see someone making that.
I mean, I honestly would be probably willing to, but I also don't know yet. But
Russell
I guess
says it's tea time, guys.
you know,
Should we have
I
tea
kind of would
time?
like to. Sure. Who's gonna bring the tea?
Shoot. Didn't think that far.
This is why we need to have
All right,
a
Jagger.
screaming in person so that
A-
we could all bring tea.
Actually,
Hmm.
actually, because it's tea time with Russell, I'm gonna be back in like 2 minutes. I'm actually gonna go get tea. I'm gonna join him. Be right back.
Well,
Oh my.
I got a 2-liter jug of iced tea.
I
You
have
know
a
what?
glass of water next to me, but that's
I'm
all I've
glad you
got.
guys are all prepared. I have a 2.2-liter water bottle of water.
Hell yeah.
Hydration.
Look at
I've
us.
been drinking.
So
Look at
the
us.
one of the questions I always like to ask people when the subject of other languages come up is, if you could use any language in GameMaker, what one would you use? I'll ask Steven when he gets back with his tea.
Hmm. I mean,
Well,
I'm excited
oh,
for JavaScript. It's like primarily because GML is so similar,
Mhm.
but
yeah, that's kind
like
of my
a couple other things.
response.
Hmm.
But I
Like
guess
TypeScript.
but the main thing I would do if I could have any language is probably C++, because like as we alluded before, just being able to write it directly would be kind of nice.
Hmm.
Like especially just adding in like extra things that GameMaker doesn't support technically, or for the weird niche cases like I guess one extension example, Yellow Afterlife's Windows extension, where you can have
Oh
like
yeah.
a child window like actually elsewhere. So it'd be great for like making an editor.
Yeah.
Or having one of those weird game projects where you're just spawning like a fake malware. Anyone remember youareanidiot.com, I think it was?
I think so.
If I do know it, I have purged it from my memory because it sounds dreadful.
Long story short, it just played like a flash and just said the same words over and over again. And if you try to close out of it, it just popped more of itself.
Hmm.
So early 2000s internet nonsense, got it.
Yeah, pretty much. Tea acquired. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven.
I
I'm
got
glad you
some
got
green
your
tea.
tea.
Steven, if you could use any language in GameMaker, what would you use?
Not TypeScript.
Not TypeScript?
Yes. Having used it, I'm like, JavaScript, sure. If I had to use one, it would be a toss-up between GML and JavaScript.
That's
I actually really
interesting.
like JavaScript.
Because I
I
hear a lot of
actually,
people saying that they would use TypeScript.
hot take, okay, I know this is probably not going to be popular. I feel like when using TypeScript, I'm working to maintain what I don't care to maintain. Maybe it's because I usually work solo, but I don't care about type safety. If it came with a performance gain, if it comes with performance gain, sure. But I just find myself just wanting to write JavaScript, and I don't want to. Anyways, that's a hot take, not popular opinion.
To be fair, I kind of agree with that hot take, but more importantly, it's like TypeScript is more beneficial if you're working in a team or
Yeah.
you're like releasing something where you expect people to contribute towards you. But if you're working like on a game by yourself, honestly, TypeScript, the only thing that's going to benefit you really is if you just have a very bad memory and you just don't touch your project for like 2 years and you come back to it and you're like, what does half this API do that I wrote up?
That's
fair.
me, except instead of 2 years, it's more like 4 days.
Damn,
Yeah.
I don't think you had it that bad.
I can
So I
usually figure out
won't
what my
bash
code
on it.
is doing pretty quickly, but like it doesn't take long for me to forget what I was doing with something if I don't write it down.
Yeah, that's true.
But I guess that's just it, really. It's like otherwise, it's like JavaScript. Like most things, I just do in JavaScript because it's like I don't really care about like type safety. I kind of know what I'm dealing with types as it is.
Yeah.
That if someone else has problems with that, then I don't know. Don't look at my code.
I would rather jump to C# than use TypeScript, in my opinion. I'd rather just do quick and dirty with JavaScript or jump to C#, would be my opinion. But
yeah.
To me, and I've
Which
never
is
used
fair.
TypeScript in like a large professional setting or anything like that, but I've always kind of felt like JavaScript is a messy language, and throwing types on top of a messy language is still a messy language. And if I wanted types, I would probably, if it was up to me, I would use a language like C or C#, which is a lot more rigid in its structure, and you can't just do stuff and assume it might work.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's like TypeScript's only like other benefits. Like it is validating things at compile time, so at least you do know if you're about to foot gun yourself in some way, probably.
And that's why I
that's
definitely understand why it has an appeal if you're a large team making a web project or something like that, because like trying to coordinate with everybody, okay, this variable is like a boolean, or this variable is an object, don't screw it up, is kind of a project management headache in and of itself, if the compiler doesn't enforce it.
Was it Pope? Pope was like he just like wanted to talk about it. He couldn't make it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
He probably has the
Perp's
opposite of my
currently-
hot take.
He uses
he's currently
TypeScript a
lost in
lot
the
at his day
church.
job, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was raving on about like he'd be excited for TypeScript, unless something explodes, I guess.
Yeah,
Which I
right.
doubt. Because like really, the TypeScript compiler would basically be whatever the JavaScript compiler would be, but just the TypeScript compiler slapped on top. So you just transpile that to JavaScript. There you go. That's TypeScript support.
Man, this tea time is great. I feel better. I have like
Yeah.
energy back. Just
You know,
wanna
now
sleep.
I kind of want to have tea time. Damn.
Green tea gang, let's go.
I like green tea. Green tea, good.
Hell
Yeah, with that caffeine, you might as well just not sleep tonight, Tabular.
When do I ever sleep?
Hey, last time I accused you of not sleeping, you said you got like 2 whole hours, so that's the assumption I'm running with right now.
At least it wasn't like the time when we had screaming with Juju, where even Juju and you and whatnot thought I was gonna wake up and said, "It's okay. The good news is I didn't sleep."
I think at
Or
some
something
point
like
during
that.
that one, you just like fell out of your seat laughing at something because you'd been up for like 21 hours and everything was hilarious.
Yeah, that's usually how my brain goes. Once I'm like really tired, everything is just like I'm kind of like in a state of high. Everything's gonna be funny to me, or something's gonna be quirky to me, and it's like at that point, it's like that's the sign for me where I need to sleep. That or my muscles just start to ache. It's one of the two.
Alice in
All
chat
right,
has
do we have
brought up
anything?
type safety would be especially useful in libraries. Yeah, for code that you're sharing with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I said of
definitely.
like, if you're working in a team or like you're having a library or just something you just want to like share with people, that's probably where you really do want TypeScript. But if it's just by yourself and you tend to kind of just mainly maintain it yourself, it's probably not really anything major to have unless you just like TypeScript that much to have it.
We could
Or,
always go back to
terrible
like
memory.
the really old days of dynamic languages where you just prefix every variable with like b underscore for boolean or I underscore
Oh
for
yeah.
integer,
Uh,
coding like it's
No,
1999.
you know what's a language we really need besides brainfuck? Ruby. We're just gonna add Ruby in.
Okay, you can do that, and I can not use it ever.
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna add it in, but I know someone who would probably do it.
I can see a lot
For
of people
kicks.
doing like Lua. I know a lot of people
Hmm.
over the years have asked for Lua in GameMaker.
I think people have been asking for even GMRT for Lua support,
I don't
which
see this as
has no
much
way into the right.
nowadays, and I don't actually know why. I don't know if I'm just not paying attention, but people used to ask for Python in GameMaker pretty often.
Yeah, no, I've not seen that in ages.
I don't know if like JavaScript has just superseded Python in popularity or what.
The closest thing we have these days is if it's not Lua, it's execute string or executing GML in GML.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, why? Why do you want to do that? Why?
You know
If
what
you
you
really
should
want
do,
it, there's
Tabular? You should take
Like
there's
like
modern
like
support.
you should take like GML speak, and you should write a GML interpreter in GML speak.
to be fair, I probably could do that, but I don't want to because GML speak is like archived, and to be honest, it has security flaws technically anyway, so it's not something I would recommend using.
And then you could give it to
But if
people
I
as an execute string replacement, and it would execute
no,
like 3 lines per second because that's like 3 or 4 layers of the virtual machine that it has to jump through.
okay, you know what? We have at this point in time like 5 to 6 GML interpreters, 6 if you count GM live, but we have 5 different variant ones, and I'm also excluding GML speak. We've got like a GML VM, we've got GML.gml, we've got GMLC, which is like probably like the closest thing to like true GML besides GML Live. We got GML, and we got of all things Snap from Juju.
GML doesn't sound like a real word anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it so much, I'm just having a stutter now. But yeah, no. I mean, otherwise it's like I don't know. I don't really feel like having an execute string built in natively is the greatest of ideas, especially if there's like no control over the execute string.
Yeah,
That's like basically
I feel
like
like
having
the
JavaScript eval expose outright.
I
May
feel
as
like
well
the
just
repercussions of having it built into the engine are more dire than having it externally. Even if Yo-Yo Games
Yeah.
provided an official extension for a GML interpreter, I wouldn't be like really weirded out. I mean, I'd be weirded out that so many people want to use it because I don't think it's in most cases it's that useful, but um like it would feel less of a questionable design decision to have it as a separate extension than to have it baked into the engine.
yeah. I guess my point with like execute string is like, especially if there's like no way to control things. Honestly, you may as well just leave your door unlocked and open your door wide open at your house and let anyone
That's
in.
what we that's what we do in
ba-
Canada. Don't
Oh
worry about
no!
Because,
Oh no!
because everybody's
I
nice in
can't do.
Canada.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wish I could do the same thing. Unfortunately, if I do that, I get a kangaroo.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Or worse.
Tabular comes home from work one day and there's just a kangaroo sitting at his kitchen table eating all the food in his fridge. Who invited
See,
you
we just
in?
get friendly neighbors that bring tea.
Oh no! The kangaroo also just takes my tea and just rips it apart and just eats the leaves directly.
Wow.
All right. Do we have anything more about the language support?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to different languages in GameMaker. This sort of ties into what we were talking about earlier with multi-threading, and I'm curious to see how far you can take that with if you were to write code for GameMaker in another language. I think we covered that ground pretty thoroughly earlier.
All right. I think. Oh, there's only one more topic we have. Damn, we already
The
sped through
extension
all of them.
generator.
Yes, the extension generator. Are you too familiar with the extension generator?
I
I have
looked through
no
the
idea what it does.
documentation. I said I was going to do experiments with it, and then I didn't.
Yeah, I kind of said the same thing as well, but I've been kind of busy. But I kind of had thought about like, as an experiment, importing like an animation library like LiveTD or similar, and just like having that work with extensions. Because it feels like that's one of those things where it would at least help cover some of the pain points.
Yeah, I think
of
I
just
had in
translating
mind that I
things.
was going to take one of my like I don't know, A-star extensions or like a sprite atlasing extension and just rewrite it using the extension generator and see if that made like the generating the bindings for GML like that much nicer than doing it manually, which well, I'm sure it would have made it nicer. The question would have been what it would have been like. I should probably do that at some point.
So sorry, what is the extension generator?
Yeah, I was just
sorry.
about to ask, like,
So-
what does it do?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll pull back for a bit so clarity. So
Is it like a
normally
name generator but for extensions?
Should I
Sorry.
dig up the link and just post it in the chat? In the
probably
YouTube chat?
I actually have it open now. I'll just post it.
All right.
But to put it in this way, it's just a way of essentially gluing some of the code from like between a DLL and GML, because like this is basically meant to replace the YY runner interface essentially. In due part because the YY runner interface is a hack and it's only for current runtime, and also because people would like to make extensions for GMRT and also have support for more than just strings or numbers or pointers.
Okay, so like when making it easier, so if I was gonna make like a C++ library, it would be like easier to do that. Okay.
Yeah, it basically just generates a bunch of the glue code essentially.
Oh.
It also will generate like a template, right? So if you tell the GameMaker definition language that like I want a function that takes these numbers as input and returns this as an output, it will do that, and it will automatically generate for like Windows or for Linux or for iOS a like a Visual Studio project file or some other I forget what iOS uses for extensions, some other project file with that template stuff set up for you.
Nice.
Is what I understand it does.
Yeah.
More or less,
that would be
yeah.
Nice. Just making it easier to do that kind of thing, because I remember experimenting with extensions in the past, and it did feel kind of like rough.
Because right now it's a bit of a chore to write it out yourself because you have to do the you have to tell the DLL to export symbols as like the C style, and you have to ID them so that the compiler like doesn't mangle the names and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like also like again going back to the glue code, like at least on paper, it should make it easier to like because like I know most people using the YY runner interface, although they shouldn't, use it to like just get structs and such. In theory, this should allow you to kind of like at least either pass in directly or have like I guess similar to the Opera GX like extension API, have like a struct representation you can kind of interface with and pass that back and forward.
Does it
Like just
gives you direct access to structs the same way that
not
YY
on
runner
Opera.
interface does? I couldn't remember when I looked through the documentation if it does that or if that's something that's just going to be a GMRT thing because the GMRT runner is going to change how that is accessed anyway.
I don't know so much about the extension generator, but I kind of have similar theories about based on how I've seen with the GX Games extension, which is not related in the same way, but I kind of think about it because there's a lot of weird hacks you have to do in DLLs basically, unless they are already handling like that via like some pointer shenanigans and whatnot. The way I can imagine is that like it just feeds through like JSON stringify and pass, so you don't get like a one-to-one structure representation.
So it's not the like the R value table itself, which is kind of what the current runner interface does.
Like I said, I don't know. I can't say because I haven't actually seen a great example use case that actually does provide it from an extension. I also haven't written anything yet with the extension generator.
I need
This
to
is just
remember to actually
all
like do something with this later so that I actually know what it does.
yeah. Just to be clear, this is entirely speculative at the moment. Don't take this as an official word from me. But that's like my headcanon theory, at least anyways, from looking at it.
I think when I was looking through the documentation, I saw that it will also generate, like, when you create the extension asset in GameMaker, it will populate the functions for you, because that's definitely something that's kind of a pain to do yourself, because you have to, like, do it all one by one. All right, I'm going to try not to spend the rest of this stream just reading through the documentation, but it sounds interesting, and I'd like to spend more time with it. It uses buffer serialization, according to Patrick.
Yeah, like that's something I've seen in some of the extensions is like it just does a lot of buffer stuff. So it's like I kind of feel like it's just gonna do a bunch of JSON stuff at the same time if it has to do like passing the struct around or just it just operates on whatever values that you pass to the DLL and then it returns and reassigns it back to the struct. So it's like it's not in the same way as you directly put the struct into a DLL and you operate it directly, but it's more like it just has a bunch of code glued in for you, so it handles all, transferring data, doing stuff with data, and then transferring it back. That's at least what I kind of am thinking about.
I wonder if ultimately, and time will tell, but if this will end up being used more for extending GameMaker, like adding like Windows API features or adding like data structures or other features that aren't part of GameMaker, or just like regular gameplay scripting.
I mean,
like there are people now who will do most of their gameplay scripting in a DLL just because they like working with C or Rust or whatever.
There is at least like one or two GameMaker projects I think are just coded in like Rust or C++.
Isn't Fields
Field
written
of Mystery
largely in Rust because Sandbox is a fiend?
Yeah. But also because just things that they wanted in GameMaker that either got its own can of worms or like I think the garbage collector was like the main thing I've heard about it at one point. Or just having just things like done on Rust because it was just faster on Rust and safer.
I haven't talked to
I
any of
don't know.
the guys who are working on Rust in a while. I wonder what they're doing now.
I am actually looking at the game files right now, which I'm not really going on much about, but I'm seeing names here, which is like some seem useful, some seem weird. We have a GM bench. There you go. We can bench now.
Yay.
All right, so I can take GameMaker outside to the park and I can just sit on it. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tara said, at least for GMS2, I think it does that, but I recall reading it has a flag that it needs GMRT. That's another thing I was wondering, like how the extension interface will or won't change in GMRT, but that's one of those things that I should probably just wait and see because I don't think there's been any official discussion of it yet.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like it's still in the planning phase and they just don't have a concrete system yet. We just kind of right now half of GMRT is like and GMLB3 and a bunch of other things in the future.
Whenever all is said and done and when the dust settles on GMRT, I'd be interested to see Yo-Yo Games doing like a post-mortem on like how it was put together and like what had to change and what like like when features were decided on and how it was decided how they should implement this or that. I'd be interested in seeing what that process was like.
Likewise. Oh yeah, that reminds me actually, because I think we kind of skipped over entirely during the GMRT topic. Source availability.
Oh yeah, we did skip over that, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked so much about other things and derailed it that we forgot about it.
Good lord, Steven.
What?
I hope you're proud of yourself for that one.
Just keep going.
So the source code it's like not open source, but it's available
Yeah.
to like view and inspect, I assume.
So currently, if you have an enterprise subscription, you can look at the GameMaker source. You can make changes. You can build your own custom versions of the runner, and once in a while, they will actually merge a change into it. I think Tabular has one or two changes in the GameMaker source code right now, but it's not.
I think at least for the 3D people, that would be the matrix functions mostly, and some vertex and format functions. But go on.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, it's available. It's not open source. It has its own license. There are limitations on what you can do with it. It'll probably be a little bit more permissive once it's open available and you don't need the enterprise subscription because you could talk about it freely online without getting into trouble and that kind of thing. But it has its own license, which was linked in the announcement post, and it's not like you can just use it like any old MIT code. You have to abide by the terms of the license. Whether or not they accept contributions from outside sources remains to be seen. I assume they probably will because they've been pretty loose about that sort of thing with like the HTML5 runner in the past, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, they did say on the blog post that they will be available for all users to access, modify, and build from. So I feel like, in a sense,
but I don't know if
they
that means
would
that
also
they'll
be
accept contributions back from other people.
That is a good
Like if you
question,
could
and I
open a
think we
pull
probably
request to the
won't.
GameMaker source.
Let's just. That is true. Like, we don't know entirely. I would think they would probably perhaps have a mechanism for that, but they probably might not go for it.
And even
We'd have to
if
wait
you
and see.
can't do that, being able to access the source and do things to it yourself is at the very least interesting because you could look and see how the engine does something if you have a need to like go behind the curtain. Even if you don't plan on messing with it yourself, it could still be of academic interest. I know that there's a couple changes that I could make to the source code that would have benefits for my particular project because I use certain features heavily. I don't use others, and having some optimizations for like draw sprite general and whatnot would benefit me personally. And I expect that there's going to be a lot of other people trying to do things like that if they've got a large game in production.
I guess also
Yeah.
like as well, it's like even if you weren't like going to do main benefits, but hypothetically if they were going to do PRs, I like with me with the enterprise source code, most of what I did with my enterprise source codes for like I think maybe it was like 3 to 6 months, I just sat there and read a lot of the source code. I was just reading it like between whenever I was at home, just chilling. I read it whenever I was at work. I would just pull it up on my phone or just start going through it to kind of like keep notes here and there. And I kind of got to a point where, along with also like just watching C++ guides here and there on YouTube from like over the last few years, but not really doing much C++, and then slowly getting comfortable with it, I kind of built enough comfort to just start modifying the runtime because I have at least an idea to what a change will do.
That is really cool.
I say that mostly because you definitely don't want to just get the source code and dive right in with no C++ knowledge because
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like with any language, any project, you're gonna have a bad time. You
And
might learn something, but that will definitely be a bad time.
and especially because you do have to deal with a GameMaker like R value type system. It's not just like you have your integers and your floats and your multiplications and divisions, and it does have to, when it interrupts with your GML code, it does a fair amount of translation to put the value into the R value and set the type um and allocate an array if it has to, which is a whole thing. Um, so it's
Yeah. I won't go much on more about it, but there's other things that I've probably at least once or twice tried to change something or try to add support for, and it was more can of worms than just not adding support for it and just doing another way around it. And I was like, this is where I'm just not going to do that work.
mm-hmm. I'll try not to talk too much about like the internals of GameMaker more than I already have on here, because I don't know if
Likewise.
they would rather we didn't do that. But um, it's certainly interesting. I don't think it's like the most important thing in this update. Um,
I mean, it's cool. Like
like
the extension generator is cool.
now
I
I'm
think it's
wondering like
nice to have
how would I rank the things in this update for how interesting I think they are. GMRT and language support would definitely be on top, but like everything else. Anyway, is there anything else we want to go over in the stream? I probably in 15 or 20 or so minutes I'm gonna have to run off and do something else. But any closing thoughts?
I drank too much
Okay.
iced tea.
Oh no. Too much.
Too much.
What kind of iced tea?
What like
Those like raspberry iced tea that you make yourself with like little bags.
Oh, now I want some.
They sell it at Lidl. It's like really nice. They're like no added sugar, but it's still like quite flavorful. Very nice.
Sometimes I'll put like a tea bag of like peach tea in like a bottle of water and I'll leave it in the refrigerator overnight, and in the morning I'll just have a whole thing of iced tea.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh hey Drago, look, you already got someone who's waiting for your X-Gen video.
Yeah,
You should have done it like 15 minutes ago.
Procrastination.
What's
Yeah,
X-Gen by the way?
no.
The extension generator.
That's the extension generator.
Ah, right.
It's just, yeah. I guess I should probably go back to one thing. I will come back to prefabs. I don't really want to talk about them too much still, but I guess there is one thing I kind of plan on eventually doing is like trying to see if I can port a couple more libraries over to prefabs because I am keeping like a cheat sheet essentially to myself on like what works and what probably a library might have to change, which I have to say for prefabs in my experience,
So
there's
that
only
people
one
have some
library.
warning ahead of time and they don't just run into the problems firsthand when they try to port it themselves.
Yeah, well, that and documentation might not 100% be there, and I kind of just am doing this mostly as like documentation, so I can just refer back to it because we're long ways away before we get the prefab builder like
True.
officially out in public. So it's like until then, at least for me, it's like it kind of gives me notes, but it is also like a general note to library developers, like, okay, this is how you expose functions or macros or enums. This is how you do this or that. This is how the prefab system kind of works in these certain situations. Out of everything I've looked at so far, the one thing I can say is that there's only at least one library that I know officially would not work with the current prefab system. And that's just because it's a little too awkward to kind of like work with that.
You mean like it does a lot of weird
Um,
hacks, or like it's set up in a particular way?
Basically, for it to work with prefabs would be basically an impossibility because prefabs weren't designed for this one niche case, but it's like it's a really a niche case most people wouldn't do. And that's I've mentioned this to you in private, but it's input. Input has a config function for like all
Oh
the
yes,
input
I remember you
verbs.
telling me about that.
Yeah. The one main issue is that at least from like just that alone, it's a function, and there's no way to kind of basically pull that function outside of input and have it also referenced by input in the same way. So you
So
kind of either have to like change it to either you have a macro config expose, which then can point to your own function, which is one way you can do it. And then you can have like that asset as a template and you can just do a bunch of other things so you can actually just reference it directly. The second way, and probably the more better way, is having a bunch of initialization functions, so like defining the verbs.
I could see them both being used. I'm not sure if I could if I could say what I think is going to happen there. I could see arguments being made for doing it either way. So should we real
I
quick
have
explain what the system for exposing settings to prefabs are, or
I guess I could explain a little bit of that, because I do have it in like my cheat sheet actually, but basically there's a new keyword called export, and that just simply allows you to expose things publicly to like the project itself. So if you say, for example, I don't know, maybe you had like a maps function for 3D that you made, you can just export that maps function, and it won't export like the rest of the private functions you have for it, or the macros, or the enums you might be using. There is a but though in this kind of situation.
it's
Um,
sort of
if you
it's sort
have
of like a halfway between like a public-private variable access sort of system, except instead of working within like a code class or a code function, it's working within the prefab. It's the scope of the variable access is the prefab.
Yeah, basically, but like it doesn't entirely make them private. Like at least on the compiler side and the ID side, they are technically private unless you import the whole prefab directly into the project as like a hard reference. Like as it's the same way as if you're importing a local package. But when you actually run the game and like it actually compiles, those functions actually exist on the project end, so you can technically access them via some other means of accessing like function indexes through traditional for loops or asset get IDs. So there are definitely ways where you can kind of hack around it, but it's like probably not going to be what most people worry about in any case.
The way
But it
that
is
the extension, the prefab system really wants you to define configuration settings would basically be to define a macro that you can export and then let the user change the value of the macro, which is not how input does it. Um, which is where the
well, I
friction
mean,
comes
input
from.
does it with
Input does it
most
with other
things. It's
things,
just
but not with like input verbs,
yeah.
because there is
Although
the script that returns an array of different verb types, and yeah.
Alfish did say one thing, which I actually do have to say. Scribble technically does have this problem too, but it's less catastrophic on Scribble because the one config that it has, it also has a runtime function for changing the config on the fly. So it's not as catastrophic it is for input's case.
But I think
But
most like large-scale GameMaker libraries that I've seen just do most, if not all, their configuration through macros. So I think that should be a minimal pain point.
Yeah, like that's pretty much it at the end of the day. Like most things aren't really going to be an issue with like really any library. Like what are you doing in GameMaker? As long as you're not doing something extremely weird, you are pretty much fine. And that's pretty much the only weird thing I can find that just doesn't work. Like even like I even like had like looked at core routines, like not like entirely, but like the macro exposure. You can just expose a macro, and that will just be a usable keyword directly in the project. So in the case of core routine,
even though coroutines has those big long macros that expand into much larger code.
yeah, like it will just expand it like directly.
It's good to know that the whole thing is robust enough to be able to like not break when it runs into something like that.
I actually haven't tested core routines directly. I just know at least the macros do work in the same case, so they do actually expose to the project and like inline. So I think that's something I still kind of have to thoroughly test, but technically, I feel like if you also expose all the other core routine functions, it probably won't break anything anyways. But it really, at the end of the day, with most libraries, the only hurdle would be you just have to export stuff. What you need that's public. And I think that's like
I think
probably
most people
not the
who would
worst
put their projects on a prefab on the package manager would expect something like that, though.
Yeah, definitely.
But Mundili was made almost entirely with coroutines, and it works just fine. Boy, I didn't know.
Yeah, but
I didn't know Mundili was made. I didn't know that was made with like heavy use of coroutines.
it was. Nick's said it a few times, I think.
Like
But
I knew
it's
that
like,
I knew
yeah.
that he was using them, but I didn't know that like it was
Hi,
a substantial amount of.
I was gonna say that we're kind of heading towards the end of the stream. Like I've just been yabbing on about prefabs now.
Yeah, I do need to go in a few minutes, so I guess we should probably start steering this towards the end. You guys want to
All right. Well,
promote any of your stuff? Anything that you're working on? I know Line has got her game.
Yeah, sure. I'll pop it in chat. I'm making a little bullet hell roguelike. That's coming
can
out
someone
next year as well.
Sorry.
Oh, good. I'm done.
All right, cool. I was gonna say, can someone just like give me $2 million? Thanks. I have nothing else.
Ah, sure. Yeah.
Will you accept Monopoly money?
I don't know. I kind of want to be a publisher, and I'm gonna publish Vividiri. I'm just gonna do that outright.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what the money's for. I'm just gonna publish the game, put it on
We'll
everything.
make so much GameMaker coin.
Yes, and then we'll make a new coin for everyone to get.
Mm-hmm.
To
We use
destroy
the
every
CLI
currency.
to mine it.
Sure.
Oops.
I'll purposely make a version of the GMCLI that can just do that.
Okay.
I hope nobody heard that. I opened the Steam page for Vividiri and the
Oh,
trailer started
it's
playing
loud.
very
I'm
loudly.
sorry.
Do you want me to like post a link to that in the chat or anything? Do you want Tabular, post your GitHub or anything, Steven, anything you're working on?
I mean, I can do my GitHub. I could be more devious and I can link in all my donation stuff, but I'm not going to. If people wanted them, they can already get it from my GitHub, pretty much. There you go. That's my GitHub. You happy?
Did it go through in chat? Is YouTube blocking hyperlinks?
Don't know. I mean, none of the links have been working at all.
It blocked mine, but I can see yours, Dragonite.
All right.
Oh, so I guess it's blocking mine then. That's good. That's great.
Just do it myself then, real fast.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
Steven, anything you're working on that you want to shout out?
Nothing actively. I guess the only thing would be if you're gonna put anything up, Corky Cove is a thing I worked on, and it's cool because it's a lot of stuff that I took from your tutorials and videos. So I'll give a shout out to like your content again for 3D videos. Getting in the GameMaker is
Oh,
like
that's
really
nice.
fun.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
And so that was one game that really heavily borrowed from that and from other stuff, and just yeah. So that was one, and it's kind of cool. It's a project that you see. It's really basic and a retro style, but just it's kind of a feasible project you can do GameMaker if you want to do 3D in GameMaker. You can follow Dragon Knight's tutorials and stuff, and yeah. So Corgi Cove.
Hell yeah.
I love that
No,
name,
I
by
feel
the
like
way.
I have seen this. I feel like I have seen this. I don't know you made this.
I did.
I need to actually play it. You gifted me a copy of it ages ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play this, and then I didn't because I'm not good at keeping on top of things. Anyway,
It's okay. I forgot I gifted it too.
Well, okay, so now this means I need to quickly make a video on it before Drago does. Gotcha. I must be the first.
all right, is that it?
Alright,
Next week,
What-
I believe on Thursday we will be streaming again with Russell.
Oh,
Yes, like that.
Thursday the 14th.
But probably with more GameMaker in it again. Is there going to be another Russell screaming GameMaker?
If there isn't,
Probably.
Gleb will never let him hear the end of it, so I feel
Yeah.
like there has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone.
Alright.
Speaking of IDE plugins, can you just imagine someone replacing the start screen with Russell screaming GameMaker on loop?
Yes.
Someone said a similar thing, but they did it for the I think it was like helper and about. It was
Yeah,
just
the about
replaced
on the
it.
forum, someone said that.
Yeah.
Or every time you
They're
hit
just-
F5 to run the game, there's a pop-up of Russell shouting GameMaker before it actually does it.
Don't make me do it. There's already a website for this.
What would be the debugging? What if you hit like F6?
The way no. How about instead? Whenever your game crashes, it just pops up and says GameMaker. Anyways, I got a link in the obligatory GameMaker.lol. Great site if you ever need your daily dose of Russell screaming GameMaker.
I'm afraid of what's gonna happen if I visit this URL, and it's just not
Oh
loading.
my God.
Okay, that's
It's gonna
great.
yell. It's just gonna yell. No. Good job.
No, I was thinking
Oh.
Tab on your note, like what if like when GameMaker crashes, but like for the end users playing the game, so that rather than getting the usual error message, you get like you play the Steam game and you get crash reports with Russell screaming.
Well, I mean, to be honest, you can kind of like
Steven,
already
you know
do
what
that.
the implications of that would be? Would be that GameMaker has to ship a video file of Russell screaming GameMaker with every time you build the executable. So
Yeah.
from now
Okay, so-
on, every GameMaker game on Steam is just gonna have that in the install files, and people are gonna find it
Yeah.
and they're not gonna know what it's for.
Yeah.
So there's two things I can think of here. One, you could just include a video directly within the game itself, probably via library, and then whenever it crashes, you have like an exception unhandled handler or like a try catcher just takes over. Or if you were to do exception unhandled handler, just URL open to a domain like GameMaker.lol.
No, we can do better. We got to ship a whole AI model into the runtime,
Mhm.
trained on Russell, so he actually he reports back the error report, personalized.
So I think we can escalate this further. So what we do is every time anyone's game crashes, we fly Russell out to their house. We have him knock on their door, shout GameMaker, and then go back home.
Well, can I escalate a little bit further? The package server, every time you download a new package, it's just Russell screaming GameMaker.
Yeah, that'll be their next April Fool's project.
To be honest, actually, that could have technically been a thing by I might have amongst all my pre-patch shenanigans, I might have had that technically made it harder to do.
I'm scared.
Let's just say if there was going to be a supply chain attack, it's probably not going to happen for years to come, thanks to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you do the applause thing in Discord? I'm just gonna do it myself.
Oh, sure. Hold on.
There we
There you
go.
go.
That's what I'm looking for.
It's a spam. I actually do have a video of me actually just doing it. Hold on, where the oh, right, it's in the forbidden channel I use for the bots and other things.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, this it's just where I test Chef Bot and like live, and I guess the spam buster, and I guess the notification system that I'm building for the registry. I am currently trying to find it. Oh god.
What have you done?
You've
Computers were a
activated
mistake.
me.
Okay, I found it if you want to like do something of that video, but that's the video. That's actually directly Dragger. Actually, no, I should probably send it to the group chat.
Oh
I'm gonna do
dear.
that. Yeah. I'm not gonna show everyone
Coconut.vtf,
else.
except it's russell.mp4.
The load baron Russell video.
I
The
so want to
one-
do. I so want to actually do that now. Who at Yo-Yo Games Legal do I have to talk to get permission to do that? Gonna write that down for later. Anyway, I do need to go in a few minutes, so thank you everyone for coming by. This has been fun. I look forward to doing this for future GameMaker updates probably. And I think that's it. So
I'll see you next week where I break my sleep schedule again.
yeah, right. You're not
Hey.
gonna fix your sleep schedule. Is what's gonna happen.
Well, to be fair, I already broke it, so you know, you're not wrong. That's why we have that one bug tracker issue on one of the projects I'm working on. Tabby doesn't get enough sleep.
Yeah, that screenshot that I recycle endlessly.
Too bad it's on the stream, so no one else can see it.
Anyway, my name is Michael. You know where to find me if you're on this channel, I assume, so I don't feel the need to go off on that rant at this moment. This is TabularElf, Stephen Loney, and WangleLine.
Hi. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you all later.